data set from, where they've been doing some teaching. Again, is a combination of all the skills that have come since the mapping started. In this case, the engagement of communities, the data collection methodologies, using of mobile phone and different type of data collection that there is in the open space communities, to actually understanding the data quality, to understand data management, and then to reach to the side where they actually use the data. So these processes have been done, again, learning from the previous work. So climate risk database has been kind of, and it's like a platform. In this case, they install as a way to, like a mid platform, which connect between when data are collected to the OpenStreetMap, right? And also back and forth. So with my PhD, I want to learn, okay, so what is this platform in general? How do we use it to leverage or like yeah, like I said, so Climate Risk Database is a platform that was installed in the Resilience Academy in a way that so that they can use it for data management and data training and everything about that. And it's made with GeoNode. So I'm reading about this and I'm learning how can this as a platform be advanced or connected with other platforms so that it does what it's supposed to be doing. Next slide, please. And I said it's made with GeoNode. It's also a big question mark to me. Like, so if it's made with GeoNode is open source, yeah, but we already have a bunch of data in the OpenStreetMap. Like, how can we combine them together, or how do they work back and forth? This is something that I want to still read and learn and streamline, like a focus, make more focus, so that I understand how this is go, so that I can advance what I want to work on. Next slide, please. And so the climate risk database has been used for teaching purposes. So looking on the data that was collected before in previous projects and previous experiences, they have been doing teaching both the university staff, university students, and now they're extending it to university to the government officials. It's an opportunity where I think if it's dilated in a way that can create more impact and even allow OpenStreetMap to be kind of used formally to the instance will be nice. But this is why, like, if they're using GeoNode and climate database as a way to connect between data and data use. So in this case, it would be nice to understand more about the teaching part and how the teaching part can be maybe extended further so that it's benefit more based on what we already have. Next slide, please. And then, so now they've been doing kind of data storage, but the data, in this case, they are data that have been collected from previous projects, and the data that have been collected from previous projects have been worked on, and then they have gone to the OpenStreetMap already. But in this case, after they've gone to the OpenStreetMap, those data then are installed to CRD in this case. But in this case, through the storage of the data into the CRD, there's like kind of a way that through there, then students are getting trained, students are learning how to use the data that are available there for analysis, for visualization, and stuff like that. And also we have some PhD students who have done their PhD and they've used the data from there. And then they have generated more data from there. And those data are now kind of put back into the CRD. which also shows the way that you can use the data by combining different data sets, and then you can learn from that. But my interest is to see how can that benefit the wider community of the OpenStreetMap. In this case, if there has been some, people who have worked on analyzing the data, is it possible to somehow give back to the OpenStreetMap data, OpenStreetMap, so that it's kind of beneficial in a wider audience. So maybe it's more to do with institutionalization and also the way that OpenStreetMap is used with the kind of government officials. And this is something that I'm really interested in learning. Why is the government not, like, if you give them OpenStreetMap, they are like hesitant, but if you give them climate database, they're like, this is good. Or if this kind of question is something that I still need to work on. Next slide, please. And then they've been doing training material also. Very straightforward, like building data. They have some materials that have been developed, and they're taking data straight from the climate risk database. And students, as they're interacting or they're doing learning from the university side in this case, then they can access those materials directly from to the climate risk database. Next slide, please. So again, the interest to me is to see that even though after the project, which was the Resilience Academy project, because most of these kind of platforms have been dying after the project. Install something, you put a lot of data, people are excited, and then after the project, things are not continuing anymore. But climate risk database has been continuing based on this kind of community in this case. And I've been leading like how it has been growing since the establishment of the Resilience Academy to now. It's still running, and there's more even user that are increasing. And also, like in the analysis, you can see some more users are coming from the government, some of users are coming from NGOs, etc. So this is even me create more kind of questions to see how is this platform now still live and still growing? What can we do maybe to use that experience to leverage other platforms and other initiatives so that it's growing like this? Next slide, please. And I was even, for example, thinking, is it possible, like, for example, if we use this experience, if it's about, for example, the community, how do we get the community to already use the platform that we have globally that can help them, formally, and not like hiding or like saying that I used or I did not use. Based on this experience, I'm trying to think and read about the way that I can maybe use this as experience so that I can leverage or create like frameworks in a way that other platform can be used like this, especially with the government. Next slide, please. Knowing that challenges still here, a lot of that have been collected, but challenges are still existing in our African cities. As you all may know, disasters are there. Some climate change issues, infrastructure issues, and they are growing every year because there's more urbanization than ever, and the pace of growing of this urbanization is unmatchable. Like you can see, like right now, let's say Tanzania and Dar es Salaam, the government actually don't know what's going on. Like if you ask them, how many shops do you have in the city center? Like it's really something that they need to somehow get the data so that they can use. And I feel like in this case, global data like OpenStreetMap could be a start. It's not like could not maybe have like read data update, like if a shop changed today, then there's changes in OpenStreetMap, but it gives already like a lot of data that can be used right now as we speak than the data that official use. Next slide, please. And at the same time, the way that they've been collecting, obviously they've been learning slowly about these new ways of collecting data, new ways of analyzing data, new ways of using open source tools as they're going, but they are very hesitant in putting them into, like, for example, policies or laws so that they can actually use that as methodology. I understand that, for example, ODK have been used so much and Kobo toolbox have been used as we speak because it's a very useful tool for collection of data. But how do we make it even formal so that the way that they change now, like the way they use now, like a governmental process or procedures based on their policy and guidelines, can include some of these things that we have learned already that they're working so well, and they can already help us in a urbanized city like Dar es Salaam, which otherwise is not possible to get the data. Next slide, please. And yeah, so there's a lot of work that have been done with different communities. Like there's so much project and so much work that has been done. And I understand that there's even so much solution that have been developed. Again, so this is like, for me, this is more like a learning process to understand mostly like what have been done where, and also see how can we level all this experience that have been since Ramani Tandare to today, to Ramani Huria, to Resilience Academy, so that we try to move step further where we are now, because obviously we have a community from like open source community, but there's still kind of a war between open source with our like decision makers. How do we break that war? That is my question. Maybe through learning from experiences that like all these communities have been developing, and see how do we move forward so that they can adapt some of these experiences. Next slide, please. And for example, specifically for the CRD, I wanted to focus on the fourth. Obviously, I'm still reading and to see maybe I can identify other components, but the issue of technology is very, very important. Usually, if you tell to the government, for example, that you want to share data, official data in an online platform, that is like, they don't want to hear that. Like they're so scared of online. For some reason, if you say server, then you're like, okay, so wait, is this server? How like, then there's all kind of question. There's so much scary. Like, so I want to know what is it so scary in terms of technology that they don't want to try, because they have their own system internal that they're trying to develop for, doing their work. How is that different from what we have and could benefit even further? This is something that I want to look into, the technology part, the component of technology. What is it that they have? What is it that other technologies have? And how do we make them, kind of either like they use the data or they kind of learn from it? And then the data itself, like I've said, there's so much going on with the data. We have a lot of data at the moment, but the government, we did a training to the government, and then I was showing them people who actually do the data work, like the urban planners, the surveyors, people who are supposed to know all these things, but they don't know that you can have a XYZ in QGIS satellite imagery so that you can overlay with the data, like this. So all these the whole data sets in general, and then if you check the issue of quality, for example, it's, I understand that from our community in the OpenStreetMap, there's a lot of going on, try to get the data really good. But still there are some issues that, for example, people would learn more how to do cleaning, how to, to use the data and then give back in a way that maybe can also help as a feedback in OpenStreetMap, so that the data that is returned is a bit more better compared to maybe if there was any issues or maybe you can implement some kind of a way that there's a kind of feedback loop from the data used. And then the community itself, for me, is also very interesting, because I want to see with the university community, it seems that it has worked. Why it has worked? Like, how is this different from the community of like the government or the ministries, or in this case, the local government authorities and stuff like this? And then the learning part is also for me very interesting, because I want to see how can we get the learning into the pace that we have now. Again, there's a lot of tools, a lot of everything comes very quickly now. We have AI, and no one is talking about, but some people are already advancing to it. But in a lot of our African countries, this is not discussed or not planned beforehand. So kids are using AI, but do we allow them? We don't allow them. How can we be as open as possible so that they can use it in a way efficiently be done, in a way that it can help advance the work, instead of just not giving any direction so everybody use or not use. And then you have professors that are, if they see the text from a student, they know this is made with AI. But what do you do? All this, the skill part is also very interesting that I want to check on. Next slide, please. And this is kind of a paper that I was thinking around as the first paper that I want to work on my PhD, which is the actual CRD part, to see as a community-driven geospatial data set for urban climate, how can we, this as a platform, it has worked for, I don't know, this year since 2016, 2017, 2018. How has it worked so far, so now? Like, so in this case, maybe do some interview, collect some data from different stakeholders, people who are engaged directly into this, and then learning from that outside the Resilience Academy. Next slide, please. And also, like I said, there are some part that I still need to kind of refine and learn, but there's an issue of frameworks. The frameworks is the way that, in this case, this is missing. If we have learned something from the current experiences, how do we bring it to the official? How do we bring it so that institutionally it can be used, adaptable, used also not only from one city, but many cities in Africa in this case. And then the actual climate risk database, in this case, the platform and the technology and everything that goes around it, how can we get it to work? And also the institution part. The institution part is also, for me, very interesting to see, based on all this, how has the institution been very reluctant to adapt all this good work that has been done by different groups and communities. Thanks. And then this just are my kind of references. And I think that's my last slide. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So now, question in the room, online. No question. I have one question.
Oh, okay.
After the work with the Resilience Academy, how you follow up with all the students you train and what they're doing now, and yeah.
So yeah. So for this academy, Tanzania and then Ramani, it worked very well, but in the institution, it was not working yet. It was in a way that, people like OMDTZ have to wait. And then when the students go out to do field work, then you are like taking them and then include them in the project. But Resilience Academy have institutionalized that. So in each university, we have, I would say like, there's different levels. So we have an MOU with the institution, but we have different coordinators and different kind of experts in different components, from teaching to climate database to all these kind of component. And these are the one following from within the institution outside. So if during the industrial training previously we used to wait outside, but now it's kind of arranged from inside. Like for example, looking for industrial placement, it's done from within. So if there's a project that is being established, like provide more opportunity for students to learn more practical, learn and do like actual work, then they are prioritizing those kind of cases. And I understand that OMDTZ have been really champion this kind of way to work with students and also work with institutions like that. So each university have coordinators and they're running with, within the institution.
Okay. Question? Yeah.
Yes, I have a question. Thank you very much, Khalid. The database.
Yeah.
The Sierra
D.
Yeah. Two things. How are you updating that? And how regular is that update coming? And then how in the linkage between that and government institutions, are they contributing? Are you sourcing some data sets from government institutions? Are you promoting it to government institutions and the actual users? What is that process like?
So the updating part, like I said, we have representatives from each university in the cooperation who are dealing with that. Like the kind of the back end part, like from development to updating to checking if there's any security and stuff like that. But it's between working within the cooperation. So like this, we have experts from Finland, for example, who are working with the experts in Tanzania's universities, where they share these experiences on how to update it. And then regarding how do we share or like do we tell to the government? Again, this is something that I said that it's not really, it's very difficult to understand, right? Because we showed CRD, they were like, oh, what is this? how do you, how do you use it? And then you tell everybody knows OpenStreetMap. But when it comes to, okay, so we say like there's so much data in the OpenStreetMap you can download, you can see like all the building, you can see all the attribute. And everybody like, yeah, they know that. But how like why is it difficult for them to put it in the institution? This is something that, but for the for the Resilience Academy, for the CRD, it has been so that it was kind of gradually being recognized from the Resilience Academy work, and a lot of I would say like government officials knew about it. And then sometimes they're like, oh, where is this data? They cannot find it, but it's in the CRD. So they will also always come back to it. And then we had kind of extension funding. I think there was an interest of the government to learn about this kind of platform. So we got a funding to train them, both like from the installation to the data collection to the data use from the government side. And then they were already knows about CRD, and they've been using it, even though like it's not fully, because then they want to install their own, but then they come back to it to collect, to get some data, all this. But so this is like what I want to know from the government side. It's been like really challenging compared to the academia, where the academia really like adapting and they're using it and the training and all that kind of stuff. But from the government, there's no like very straightforward way. It's like really back and forth.
And I want to add one comment. It's about the government. Maybe it will be easier to start by small districts, or small local government first, and then when it's work, and you could go, in the other one, and then because then it's the main government. It's difficult. They want to have their own system to get all the the log to this system, and also for them maybe provide something like a pipeline, so where the data can directly upload it in their system, but they don't use your system, and it could maybe work like that. So
I think the skill is very, very key. I think for the Resilience Academy has always been the way we tell them the skill. We don't force them to use anything. For example, we show the usefulness of each platform is something that we have been doing. First of all, the OpenStreetMap. We've been teaching a lot about how they can actually use the OpenStreetMap for their work and how it integrates with other open source tools. And for the CRD as well, it's the same. Like in this case, like I gave an example, sometimes they are looking for the data and they don't get it, and then they come back to it. And if sometimes we did not realize that it's very useful, the server went down for like one day, and then people start calling like, oh, where we need to. So then, it's something that maybe it's because of its usefulness and the way that it carries the data that they would use. And yes, we are. Through the work that we do, we continue collecting or getting the data into there. But also from the Resilience Academy side, where we have different experts, we have also data managers who are working with, if the data is being submitted, then the managers are checking and making sure that the data have good quality, have metadata, have everything that is being listed so that it's being published. Right now it shows 290 dataset, but there's like, 500 dataset in the backend. Most of them cannot be approved because they are missing kind of information and that like some kind of metadata. In this case, the whole process between the universities to sustain that. This is why I want to learn how this has been successful so that the government can use the same way.
Thank you, Mr. Msilikali. Thank you very much for this wonderful presentation. And yeah, Geoffrey, you have a comment or you have a next session?
Yeah, welcome. Thank you as well.
Okay. Okay. Yes. So
nice.
we'll have a next session is a video. The presentation is already recorded. So it's presented by Kelvin Boateng from Ghana. Yeah, it's from Ghana, and Kelvin is a geospatial engineer enthusiast, and he's involved in GIS and remote sensing projects from solve environmental concern.
Morning, everyone.
Yes, good morning. You online? Oh, yeah, it's a video. You could start.
This thing, I need just minimize it.
Yeah, minimize this one.
Picture, the
The
video.
zoom, like
Minimize it.
So
You can drag it
hide
from
it.
down up, and then there's like a minimize button.
And this one. And
Save.
yes. Okay. So it's okay. We could start now.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm Watson Kelvin, and I'm presenting on a
the video.
quantitative study on land surface temperature estimation between the dry and wet seasons in Wa Municipal, Upper West region of Ghana. Climate change is no longer just a global discussion. It is something communities experience every day through extreme heat, drought, declining vegetation, and public health challenges. Using free available Landsat satellite imagery and GIS techniques, this study investigates how land surface temperatures vary between seasons, how vegetation influences these temperatures, and what these changes mean for sustainable environmental management. I hope this presentation demonstrates how open geospatial data and remote sensing can provide valuable evidence for climate adaptation and better land management. Land surface temperature, or LST, represents the temperature of the Earth's surface rather than the surrounding air. It is an important environmental indicator because it helps us understand urban heat, drought conditions, vegetation stress, and climate change impact. Traditionally, measurements rely on ground-based instruments. However, these methods are expensive, time-consuming, and cannot cover large areas. Remote sensing overcomes these limitations by allowing us to estimate LST continuously over large regions using satellite images. In northern Ghana, particularly one municipal.
Hey, Eric. Yes, not online, is recorded video.
Water resources.
Yes. Going down? Yeah.
One, to determine the land surface temperatures.
5 minutes. Yeah.
Compare the correlation between the land surface temperature and the normalized differential rotation index. Examine the effects of high temperatures on vegetation and public health. This study focuses on one municipal in the Upper West region. The municipal experiences two distinct seasons.
Upstairs.
A long dry season from November to April and a raining season from May to October. Temperatures during the dry season exceed 40 degrees Celsius.
5 minutes, we'll go at the auditorium.
It's dominated by the Guinea savanna species, including shade trees, baobab, neem, and grasses. Because of the semi-arid climate, one municipal provides an excellent location for studying seasonal temperature variation. So now this is a map of my study area, one municipal showing the reverse rows, some towns, and the administrative boundaries of Ghana.
I took some.
Materials and methods.
Did you No, I didn't. I think it just come. I did come. No, I got. Okay, there is some other guy. Hey, I'm going to look for him.
Yes, the camera lit.
Oh, there's some other guy.
Okay.
I'm going to look for him.
Okay. Also the group photo.
I'm sure the group photo.
The one that was taken outside.
Yeah.
You sent it to me, Martha?
No, it's in the. Yeah. Yeah.
Let me check.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh.
Temperature. You can see the workflow. I want them. 110, then comment it's all numbers. Top atmosphere radius, then 32. Access satellite brightness temperature to the help of 1, 5, and 4 for calculating NDVI. Then I use that to calculate for the proportion of vegetation as the PV. Then I use that to determine the emissivity of temperature. Then with that, I use that to calculate for the LST. And I had the LST results. For discussion, for results and discussion, the dry season consistently recorded higher temperatures than the wet season between 2019 and 2024. The maximum dry season temperature increased from approximately 50.1 degrees Celsius to 51.6 degrees Celsius. Meanwhile, wet season maximum temperature decreased from approximately 54 degrees to 45 degrees Celsius. Likely became increased rainfall and cloud cover, reducing incoming solar radiations. Especially, the hottest areas are concentrated around bareland and sparsely vegetation. As you can see, these are the red areas that is considered as bareland or less vegetated areas. This confirms the importance of grow vegetation play in regulating surface temperature. For the NDVI results, NDVI ranges from -1 to +1. Higher values indicate healthier and denser vegetation. During the dry season, vegetation cover was significantly lower because high temperatures and limited rainfall reduce soil. In contrast, during the wet season, NDVI values increase, such as getting healthier. This seasonal variation demonstrates how healthy vegetation also contributes to evapotranspiration. Therefore, NDVI provides an important indicator of ecosystem. So as you can see, dry season was very less as compared to the NDVI in the wet season. That's the 2024. Relationship between LST and NDVI. The regression analysis revealed a significant negative relationship between LST and NDVI. Yes, areas with more vegetation tend to have lower surface temperatures. Conversely, areas with sparse vegetation experience much higher temperatures. Although the strength of the correlation varies slightly between seasons, the overall trend remains the same. These findings with previous international studies showing that vegetation naturally cools the earth's surface by providing shade and increasing evapotranspiration. This reinforces the importance of conserving green spaces in rapidly warm environments. land surface temperature on public health. This implication extends beyond environmental science. Increasing surface temperatures directly affect human health. In one municipal, extreme heat contributes to dehydration, heat exhaustion, heat stroke, respiratory illness, and increased risk of cerebrospinal meningitis outbreaks during the dry season. Higher temperatures also increase water scarcity and reduce agricultural productivity. Therefore, understanding the spatial temperature patterns can help government prioritize climate adaptation strategies. These include urban greening, tree planting, improved water management, and public health preparedness.
So, guys,
let's play.
In conclusion, this study demonstrates that dry season consistently experience higher land surface temperatures. Wet seasons support healthier vegetation. There is a clear inverse relationship between vegetation and temperature,
Now we have to go
as already said. As vegetation decreases, surface temperatures increases. These findings highlight the importance of integrating remote sensing into climate monitoring and environmental planning.
You will stop
The
the
use of
recording.
freely available satellite imagery provides a cost-effective approach that can easily be duplicated.
Yeah, how are you? It's fine.
Challenges. This research demonstrates that spatial technologies are powerful tools for understanding climate change at a local scale. By combining sensing, environmental basis, evidence-based sustainable management. Looking ahead, I need to establish by integrating higher resolution imagery, machine learning techniques, and community-based mapping to improve climate risk, resilience, and environmental decision making. Thank you very much.
That's all. Huh? Yeah. That's it.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Microphone. No,